Good morning. Welcome to the Fire Committee for January 13th, 2026. We will call this meeting to order. There's any declaration of pecuniary interest?
None.
Thank you. We can circulate the prior meeting minutes.
Yep.
Were there any questions about those?
None. Thank you.
Thank you. We can move on to the Joint Health and Safety Committee reports. And were there any questions about those?
I had none.
Thank you. Next, we can move on to new business. The fire monthly report for November and December 2025.
Okay. All right, so we ended up our year a little higher than normal. So we ended up with 150 calls for service, which is about a 25% increase over the previous year. So there was that. Right now we're sitting at about 20. I have 29 volunteers on here. Yeah, actually one retiring, but we should have added the two retiring because we did have two members retire basically on the same day. So Chief McKenzie retired, as well as one of our long-serving captains retired at the end of November. So lost both those gentlemen. Went through the training for November. December typically isn't mandatory training for us. We do it as a spend time with your family month, but we also encourage people to come out and do the truck inspections, excuse me, on the Monday nights. And then anybody who wants to do any additional training, we try to provide that. So you'll see the numbers are a little bit lower in December, and that's the reason for that. Calls for service. We did have one fire in the month of November and December. In those 2 months, I just lumped them together. One MBC, we had 11 medical assists, a couple of carbon monoxide activations with one that actually had carbon monoxide in the home, and they did have detection in the home, which was good. The fire alarms and false alarms, we lump into one category, so we had 11 of those. A couple of other that we classify as other calls, and then 2 rescue calls. So we ended up with 30 calls for service in those 2 months, which is pretty typical for us. And then we ended up at 150 for the year. So community relations, we participated in the annual Christmas in the Village. So we opened up the fire hall like we do every year. We don't have an actual estimate on how many people came through the fire hall, but we did distribute 600 cookies and 600 cups of hot chocolate this year. So we had at least 600 through the hall. We do provide some fire prevention activities at that same time. So we have a fire prevention table set up to give out fire prevention material as well. So it's not just a drop-in for cookies and hot chocolate. It doubles as a fire prevention event. We did have members attend the Remembrance Day Parade. And then we did some fire extinguisher training with the Point Edward Early Learning Center staff. So we had about 35 staff members come over. And they did a hybrid program. They did some online training themselves to begin with before they came over. And then we gave them the practical portion. So live fire, we utilized the county fire prevention extinguisher trainer, and we did some live fire with them. Fire prevention inspections. We did our annual fire inspection at the casino. Casino's been pretty good. So over the years, they understand what we're looking for, and we don't have too many issues with them. But it's a big facility for us, and there's a lot of people through there, so it's important for us to do that one. The community emergency management, I'll let Claudio touch on that if you'd like.
So during those months, we concluded our annual exercise. So prior to the province, last year was done, as you guys know, at the base's office. Their secondary OT. Numerous Environment Canada weather briefings, so they've been doing this more and more now, when there's a weather event approaching. They'll actually invite all the CMC of the province to attend a briefing with one of their meteorologists, which is kind of nice, because you can ask the right questions if it's something that's impacting us directly, so they're doing that more and more. Especially with the change in the color coding that presents out there at some point. It's nice to see what's happening and ask questions about that. The quarterly or biannual 402 stakeholder meeting occurred in Wyoming. Not much for us to know about that. I mean, there's no planned work on our portion of 402 at this time, so that's the main message there. Bases had their quarterly EM committee meeting, as well as the county for theirs, to wrap up the year. And then the compliance for 2025, that submission was done and sent in. I heard back from our field officer who had a couple follow-up questions, and then I answered those, so he's recommending us for compliance for last year, which is great. Yep.
Yeah, so for partner agency activities, we just attended the one planning meeting with the planning department here. In regards to our facility, the fire hall, we finally got the carpet replaced in both the chief's office and my office. It was a bit of an undertaking, moving all the desks and filing cabinets and everything out of the rooms and getting them prepped for new flooring. While we had those out, we took an opportunity to repaint my office. There was some damage to the walls and so on and so forth. So we did that, got that done, and then put everything back together. So it looks good now. We had the third-party inspection of the fire alarm system. That was completed. Third-party inspection of the heating and cooling equipment. That was completed by Black and Mac on the interior, as well as they did it on the exterior too. So they did all the roof units as well. And I'm not sure how that works, but I'm assuming that they'll come back with a recommendation to Mike, because it appears that Mike's looking after the facility stuff now.
Yeah, if there is work that needs to be done, and I mean, he won't be authorizing it without
Okay.
talking to whoever's responsible for that department, but
Because they did make a recommendation that they wanted to come back and do some maintenance work on the tube heaters inside the fire hall. But to do that, they wanted all the trucks out, and this isn't the time of the year to put trucks outside with water in them. So I told the gentleman, I said that we could discuss it in the spring when the weather's nicer, and if that's what needs to be done. I guess if one of them fails, then they'll have to come in and repair it. Vehicles and equipment. So our engine one received its annual MTO inspection, as well as a service and safety all inclusive. Rescue 3 did the same. Unfortunately, we've identified a corrosion issue on the body of Rescue 3. We have talked to the manufacturer. Because the truck is 4 years older, 4 years and older, they'll only cover 50% of the repair, which is unfortunate. But the bigger problem is that there's nobody locally that can support that kind of work. So they have agreements with a company out of Ingersoll that does that type of work. So for us, it becomes a bigger problem because we have to take the truck out of service. We have to unload the truck. We have to transport the truck to Ingersoll. It's going to be gone for minimum a week, they're saying. So they wanted to get that rolling now, but I've asked them to put it off to the spring because with the winter months aren't the best time for us to be rolling that truck down the road. So that's where we are with Rescue 3 for now. Again, with Rescue 3, truck with 5,000 kilometers on it, identified a head gasket issue when it was in for its safety. So I spoke to the Cummins dealer. We're hoping that it's a warranty issue. So the month of January, hopefully we can get it in there. They can evaluate it. Cause the Cummings dealer is a different dealer than we had to do the service work on it. So hopefully it's just a warranty issue, but at the same time, we're gonna have to take the truck out of service and work around that. So I'll let you know more about that when I have more information on that. Doesn't affect the operation of the truck right now, but it's just gonna continually get worse over time, so we need to get that mitigated. Our SCBA's, they went through their annual function testing, so a third party comes in, they take each pack out of service, they put it through a function test. To make sure it's gonna perform as it's required, and all our packs did pass. Health and safety, we completed the required health and safety, that was put forth by the coordinator. That was all done. We attended the year-end, health and safety committee meeting. And then our inspections were all completed with no reported issues. Nothing on security, the capital budget, again, the new flooring was completed. Also, the new table and chairs that were budgeted for the meeting room were received and set up. And the old tables were removed from the hall and donated to two different organizations. So one was a local church that had a after-school program for their youth, and they were interested in them, as well as one of the high schools, their drama program was looking for a few of them. So they got those. So that was good to get them out and get somebody that gonna have some use for them. Community feedback, we got some really good feedback from the Christmas in the Village, which is always nice to hear. And then we got some feedback from the Enbridge representative that came to do the community safety program presentation. As far as upcoming events, we have a meeting scheduled with the Blue Water Bridge this month to discuss electric vehicle fires on the plaza and what that might look like, how we could help mitigate those. Fire chief's meeting to be held in Don Township. So Chief McKenzie and I are gonna head to Don Township tomorrow morning for the chief's meeting, and then give him an opportunity to see some of those chiefs before his retirement. I had a meeting with the local OFM advisor, talking about some of the roles and responsibilities. And we have Doug's retirement party coming up on the 29th. I guess in closing, just to put some perspective behind it, we had 14 members attend our Remembrance Day parade, so that was great to see. That's a pretty decent number for us. The fire hall and the old truck were decorated in preparation for the Christmas in the Village. We had some members, all our members actually attended the Stop the Bleed training. So we had a gentleman that come from London Health Science Center and facilitated that training. Claudio set that up for us. And everybody enjoyed that training, so that was good. The old chairs, we already talked about that. Our soap injection pump for our gear washer, our extractors, it failed. So we had to have it replaced, and unfortunately it was fairly pricey. Our toy drive, the toy drive this year was exceptional. All our firefighters went door to door and dropped off a flyer. The social media stuff was a big help. But the amount of uptake from the public was unbelievable. The amount of toys that we had this year was outstanding, and obviously there's a need for it because we had 4 charities this year. Typically we have 2. We added a third because we had an influx of toys the year before, and then we actually had a 4th come to us at the last moment. So, and we were able to supply toys for all those, so that was great. We did take delivery of a new decontamination tent, and that tent was funded by the Oil and Gas Fund. So we did some training on that once we received it. And we also took delivery of a new 4-gas unit and a new calibration unit for that. So we do have an existing calibration unit, but it's getting close to end of life. And, luckily for us, we were able to fund this purchase through the Oil and Gas Fund as well. So that was a nice addition for us. We did have a press release and photo opportunity with Enbridge Gas. So we had a rep from Gas come down here from Enbridge. We had the mayor, the deputy mayor, some of our council members and CAO, and a few fire staff that were there for that. So Enbridge has given us a $5,000 grant for learning materials. So hopefully we'll be receiving, we have our order in, so hopefully we'll be receiving those books and by the end of this month, if not early next month. Originally, we talked about the fire service grant. We didn't feel that we were going to get the fire service grant this year because there wasn't a whole lot of communication around it. But in the 11th hour, we were notified that we are going to get it. So we have roughly about $18,600 coming to us. And that needs to be spent specifically on items around cancer prevention. So we've got a little bit of a plan for that moving forward. I had attended the quarterly fire prevention meeting in December that was hosted in Wyoming. We have had a meeting with the owner and operator of Bridgeview Marina regarding the last boat fire. So we've had a couple of meetings around that subject. We did have one meeting with one of the SCBA manufacturers and a local sales rep regarding some updated pricing and technology for the SCBAs that we're looking at purchasing in 2026. And we did install a TV. Anybody who's been in the fire hall lately, you'll see a TV over the man door as you come in, and that's going to work in conjunction with a Who's Responding software. So what that does is it allows us to see who's going to respond to the fire hall or who's unavailable. So it gives us an idea how many members may or may not be attending a scene. It also puts up a map of where the call is, which can be helpful. So that's up and running, and we had a few struggles with that, but Claudio figured that out. So we're up and running. And that's my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I have a couple. The Rescue 3 rust, is there any opportunity to go after, you maybe asking for more than 50%, given that we're buying $1 million truck off them in the next couple months and look at a goodwill, or is that just their cut and dry policy?
I mean, we asked for that already. We asked for it and we brought that same question up. Like, you know, the truck's 4 years old. It's got 5,000 kilometers on it. It's got a corrosion issue. Truck's washed after, every use. Really, this isn't acceptable, and we think that you should pay for all of it.
Yeah.
They went back to the manufacturer a couple of times, and that's what they come up with. We're tied into a contract for the new truck, so I mean, we have leverage, I guess, but they have just as much leverage to say no, I guess. What it comes down to it.
Yeah. And what do you think the cost ballpark would be? Like, is it a lot of corrosion or just a?
Yeah, it's on the passenger side. Well, it's on both sides of the truck, but primarily on the passenger side around where the window cutouts are.
Okay.
They estimate about $5,500, so our portion will be
$3,000 or something.
Yeah, 25 to 28, or 2,500 to 3,000 will be our portion.
Okay. Right. Yeah, and sometimes when it gets to that amount, is it worth chasing down for?
Well, it'd be nice if they covered the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they should cover the whole thing, but we've gone back to them
More than once?
three times now.
Okay.
And this is where they've landed. So
Okay. So the 150 calls for is that highest it's ever been in a long time, or?
It's the highest it's been in the last 3 years. Typically we run, and I don't know why, but typically we run that 115 to 120.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Is our norm. And this past year we did have 3 significant fires. So we had 2 actual, full-blown structure fires, which is unusual for us.
Yeah.
Usually we just have, we might have a room and contents type fires, but we had, two pretty significant fires, and of course the boat fire fell within that as well. The majority of the calls were, so 50 out of the 150 were medically based
Mhm.
type responses. 43 of that 150 were either a fire alarm activation, which could have been from, unattended cooking, or, no fire involved, but
Mhm.
an activation of the alarm, or false alarms. So they're all kind of lumped into one category. We had 9 calls for service for collisions and extrication. And then the remainder of that, other than the fires, is just miscellaneous, and water rescue. So water rescue, we ended up with 16 calls for service out of the 150. And then the rest are just miscellaneous type calls.
Okay. So is this out of date or is that up to date?
That's up to date for
Because your numbers aren't,
the numbers aren't up to date.
or they're not jiving. Like you said, 16 water rescues? You got 12 there.
Yeah, so on this particular paperwork, this is from our software that
Yeah.
we input. So the water rescues, yeah, we got 12. I'd actually have to go back and
Yeah.
look and see.
All I was asking about was where's the increase coming from? What's dramatically higher than other years? Is it the medical and the false alarms or the alarms?
I would say there's probably, it would be a combination between the two,
Okay.
the false alarms, and the medical are probably up a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a lot of, what we did do this past year was we did a fair number of elevator rescues.
Yep.
We have one hotel in particular that has a problem. They say they've mitigated it now, but they had a problem with their one elevator, so people were consistently getting stuck in the elevator.
Huh.
And the way the elevator industry is locally, during the day they have techs here, but at nighttime their techs have to come from outside the area. So if at all possible, and if we can do it safely, then we'll take people out. There are some circumstances where we can't take people out, but we try not to leave somebody in an elevator for hours,
Yeah.
waiting for a tech to come from, London or Strathroy area or Chatham. Seems to be the norm for the techs, so.
Okay. And then the cancer prevention grant, what kind of stuff qualifies for that? Is it like,
So the first round that they did was they were pushing the extractors and the dryers.
yeah,
We had already had it in extractors in play. We had already purchased those previous to this.
yeah,
So we went with the dryer.
yeah,
So we have, that was what we spent the money on last year. This year we had put in for spare bunker suits, to have bunker suits, hoods, some spare gloves, and some helmet liners.
Good.
So that in the event that we had a fire, that first line, that first truck could actually be swapped out relatively quickly.
right,
The bunker gear may not be custom fit for
Yeah.
them, but it would be, we would have enough spare gear to, put a truck back in service relatively quick
right, with clean gear.
with clean gear.
Yeah, yeah,
There was some talk around lithium ion batteries, but the technology around lithium ion batteries and the mitigation of lithium ion battery fires is still a little unclear of what the best method is. So we thought about one of the lithium ion blankets, but then there's some data out there and there's some research out there that shows that they might not be the best answer, because you put one over an electric vehicle that's caught fire. Now all the off-gassing and everything from the car is trapped under that blanket, and as soon as you remove that blanket, then you're exposing everybody to the toxins, and the fire restarts. So we didn't want to spend too much time on the lithium ion batteries. I think that's something more to come
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
future as more research goes on with that.
yeah,
So that's the plan right now, is to outfit, probably 4 sets of bunker gear, helmet liners, gloves and balaclavas and have that specifically available for, you know,
Right,
to get a truck back in service relatively quick.
right.
Oh, sorry, you're right, and the hose washer. So the hose washer is, you hook it up to the hose or to the water supply at the fire hall. And then you run the hose through this hose washer and it gets all the gross contamination off the hose
Yeah.
as best you can.
Off the
I mean,
exterior.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're never gonna get it all off, but
Yeah.
it'll help get the majority of it off.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
We had a lot of the same questions.
Oh.
The Point Edward early learning training that they did, was that something that's required for them, or was that just something that they reached out to you about?
Yeah, they just reached out. They wanted to have all their staff trained in fire extinguisher operation. So she had reached out, and they pay into a software suite that has health and safety training. And she said, well, we have this fire extinguisher training on there. And I said, well, we can complement that by doing the live fire stuff, because, you know, you watch it on a video and you never actually get to put your hands on an extinguisher. So it worked out well. They enjoyed I don't know how much they enjoyed the online stuff, but they enjoyed doing the hands-on stuff because the simulator that we have is actually live fire. So they actually get to see live fire, they get to feel a little bit of heat, and they get to use an extinguisher. So it worked out well. We had them grouped into allotted into groups of 10. So they would come to the fire hall. We would do a little bit of like review on the fire triangle, and then talk about the process of actually using the fire extinguisher. And then we'd actually hit on, you know, why it's important to call 911, why it's important to activate the fire alarm system, why all that works into play. And then, yeah, it wasn't a certification program. And we actually recently had another local business in town that reached out that wants to do some stuff once the weather breaks as well. So we'll do that as well. We don't want to, there are some companies in town that charge for the service. And right now we haven't we don't charge anything for the service. But we also don't want to compete with companies that are, you know, using that as a service that they charge for. So we haven't landed on a fee for service yet. So that's something to be discussed at a later date, if we should be charging or not charging.
Do you get a lot of requests similar to this?
Not a lot, like we do it with the school kids. Obviously we wouldn't charge there, but that's part of our 7-8 program is fire extinguisher training. Because they're old enough to know how to operate it, so they should be taught how to do it properly. And it kind of goes in cycles. Sometimes we'll get 2 or 3 businesses asking for the service, and then we'll go a year with nobody, or 2 years with nobody asking for it. So it wouldn't be a big money generating proposition anyways, but
Does it cost much to run the training?
no, just time. And well, the actual unit itself is expensive. It was about $15,000. The county fire prevention picked that up, so we share it throughout the county. So right now it's at our hall, but any day I could get a phone call from Oil Springs or Petrolia saying, you know, we want to use that fire extinguisher simulator, so we share it around there. And the only other expense is the propane. So our time and propane is the only expense. So
Sounds like it was a great opportunity for community engagement then
Yeah.
as well.
no, they really enjoyed it, and then for us, it just gives us a little bit of peace of mind that, you know, we've got 45 or 50 kids across the street, and that these people know how to use a fire extinguisher properly, and they know their procedures. So they're pretty dialed in over there as well. So which is good.
No more questions from me, but just a comment on the community engagement in November and December. That was a lot of community engagement, and that's incredible to see. So
Yeah.
Fantastic job from the
People love coming to the fire hall.
Thank you. We can move on to a review of the financial statements for fire monthly financial statements for the period ending December 31st, 2025. And were there any questions on those?
So I just have a question, it's more capital than operating, but like last year we threw some money in for building improvements. Are you gonna be moving forward with any of that, or do you have a plan?
So the short answer is yes.
Okay, that's fair
We,
enough.
we are going to, or we would like to do some improvements. What that actually looks like, I don't know yet. We've tossed around some ideas of, beautification of the front of the fire hall, try to modernize it a bit.
Yeah.
Whether it's just with some paint and, updating a few things here and there. I think that'll be a start. I think in the future, you'll see us come back with, more of a plan, the building itself was built in 99. The doors are starting to see their end of life. The maybe modernizing the doors, modernizing the facade. It is a staple in the community. Like it's one of the first things you see once you, cross in to go into downtown. So it would be nice. I know Chief McKenzie had some visions of, putting some big planters and, putting some different concrete, in between the two parking lots and stuff like that. So we haven't landed on anything yet, but, our goal is, moving into the better weather to come up with some ideas and see what that's gonna cost. 'Cause I think there's what, $10,000 there?
20.
Oh, there's 20? Okay, sorry.
So you're gonna start working on something now, so that when the nice weather comes, you can actually pull the trigger and go, right?
Yeah, that would be the ideal thing.
Okay.
I mean, there was some talk about, there's some brick wash out there and there's some painting and then we need to get some general consensus of, from council as well. Some people don't want the brick painted. Some people think it might look nice painted. We have the library attached to it. So if you're doing one, you almost have to encroach on to do both. Or would it be just better to, fix the facade up top, change, maybe modernize the sign up there, paint that, and then, do some stuff out front to beautify it a bit.
From the library too, is the library must have some historic value. It's older,
That's great.
right? And it was the original village office, so I'm not sure you'd want to be painting the brick on it. The building built in 99, the addition is, it doesn't have that same historic kind of value or
Yeah, so from the man door to the west
Yeah.
is 99. So the bays are 99. Where our offices are, that used to be the bay doors,
Right.
for the trucks. So all that brick is essentially was redone in 99.
yeah.
But I don't know, and I'm not an interior or exterior designer. That's where we need somebody that has an eye for that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
we don't want it to look wrong
Or piecemeal.
or piecemeal. We
Yeah.
want it to look proper. So we're gonna have to consult somebody who has an eye for that kind of stuff.
Well, and with a budget of 20,000, you may want to bring somebody in and do up a bit of a rendering or an idea, or it's, and then you're not flying by the seat of your pants, right?
Yeah,
You've got
yeah.
an actual plan.
100%.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we can receive and file the financial statements for that period. All right, if there are no further questions, the next meeting of the fire committee will be held February 10th, 2026 at 8:30 a.m.
It's my birthday.
Oh, boy.
And we adjourn.
Hope I make it.